There are hundreds of people being cloned in underground facilities in Australia and in some parts of the United States. They can make a George Norrie in about 8 years from baby to you.
Okay.
The problem is the brain cannot grow that fast as the body can.
What happens to the human soul, Emery, in this kind of situation? Does the clone have a separate soul?
Is it a clone or not?
Oh, now you know I'm going about cloning. Cloning techniques, since 1938, they've been making clone people. There's 8 countries making clones. I have a doctor friend that all it does is treat the clones.
Where do you get your information?
I get it from some of the people that are willing to come forth, and they talk to me because they hope I'll put the information out, because they always got 2 people following them and they may be killed. If I start talking about cloning too much, the people that get involved into that you disappear on it. So I don't go into too many more details, but there is information that's available. And more and more of that's coming on the line. I just told you, go rent the movie.
Okay, Boys from Brazil.
Yeah, and you'll see the whole technique on what they show it to you in different places, so you can imagine what it's going on.
Well, cloning's been done before I even came along. They've been cloning animals for quite a while, and in the hybrid programs that I was associated with, they were cloning not only species like plants and animals, but they were also regenerating tissues of extraterrestrials and growing them and then cloning them. And then they started cloning humans a very long time ago. It's interesting now that in the news, after talking about this a few times, that now they're coming forward. China just has been doing it forever, but in their underground facilities, cloning people and cloning.
I thought that I'd been kidnapped or something, that I'd been brought there, but it wasn't even me as my real body. It was me as a clone of me. It's a different kind of clone, though. The clones people typically assume are what clones are. They're raised up from a baby. Grown in test tube, raised up from a baby, and it's a real slow process, but that's replication cloning. They can also do duplication cloning. Duplication cloning forms absolutely, well, almost totally identical copy of yourself, and they can activate these things while you are in REM sleep with what they call a consciousness trance. Well, they chose me because they wanted to use me for to be molested by rich old people. No, they get all kinds of kids there. I was just one of them. I was a cute kid. But then it also has to do with aliens as well. Aliens are pretty pervy. There's a bunch of different kinds, and there's a lot of lizard types, but there's more than one type of lizard type.
Content warning. The information provided in this video is based on personal experiences and interpretations and should not be taken as professional advice. Viewer discretion is strongly advised, as some topics discussed may be sensitive or triggering for certain individuals. Always conduct your own research and consult with a qualified professional before making any decisions based on the content of this video. The Secret of Vril. Donald Marshall claims that there is a secret that has been kept by members of the Illuminati for more than 70 years, a secret of such great importance as to affect the lives of every man, woman, and child on the face of the planet. Marshall states that his mission in life is to share this secret with the world so that all can know the truth and plan for the future. In order to fully understand this secret, it will be necessary to return to the events of post-war Germany following the end of World War I, where in 1923, Hitler was named the leader of the new Nazi Party. Following a failed attempt to overthrow the federal government, Hitler was arrested for treason. While awaiting trial in Landsberg prison, he read Bulwer Lytton's 1871 novel, Vril, The Power of the Coming Race, about a master race of beings who call themselves the Vrilia. They claim to be the descendants of the inhabitants of ancient Atlantis, with access to an extraordinary force called Vril, an unlimited source of energy that supplies all their needs and can be controlled at will. Hitler believed the novel to be true, and once made Chancellor of Germany, he would send teams of spelunkers into caves and mines all over Europe searching for the Vrilia. He dispatched regular expeditions to Asia, especially Tibet, where Nazi explorers made significant connections with influential Tibetan lamas, who had expert knowledge about the underground tunnel and cavern systems around the world. Legend was these Tibetan lamas guarded a secret entrance to the inner world, known as the Red Door, hidden within the Potala Palace in the mountain city of Lhasa. Once a Nazi-Tibetan alliance was formed, the lamas agreed to share with them that, for centuries, they had been helping to hide an indigenous race of lizard living deep within the planet since prehistoric times, known as Vril lizards. It seems that these lizards knew the location of an abandoned military base dating back from the time of Atlantis, filled with ancient aircraft, weaponry, and technology hidden within the tunnels and caverns of Antarctica. The lizards had no use for the tech, but they were willing to trade for something else they wanted. The lizards were carnivorous and preferred to consume fresh human flesh, and so a deal was made. The Nazis got the ancient Atlantean tech and sold out the human race. But according to Marshall, this is not the first time Vril lizards have interacted with humans. He claims that for centuries, royalty, powerful heads of state, and trusted religious leaders around the world have kept a secret pact with the malevolent lizards. World leaders would receive valuable resources buried deep within the planet, such as gemstones, gold, and other minerals, and, in exchange, these leaders would conceal all evidence of the Vril from the surface population, so no one would learn of their existence. In addition to helping them hide, Vril lizards required that they be provided with a steady supply of humans to consume. However, Marshall says that keeping the secret of Vril not only refers to hiding the lizards and denying their existence, but also refers to an even bigger secret. Being a parasitic race, Vril lizards have the unique biological ability to invade the human body, take over the brain, and by accessing their memories, they can look, act, and seem human in every way. After a period of recovery, the human is able to return to its normal activities, except the brain is now under the complete control of the Vril parasite. Much like the 1956 sci-fi classic The Invasion of the Bodysnatchers, in which the inhabitants of a small California town are replaced, one by one, with identical copies of themselves, Marshall warns us that we've already been invaded. We just don't know it. Marshall explains that Vril lizards are essentially parasites, and like all parasites, have a biological drive to invade, dominate, and take over. Marshall refers to this biological takeover as body snatching, and explains that the human victim dies once the Vril lizard takes over. Marshall says that with the help of the Illuminati, body-snatching Vril lizards have infiltrated all levels of society and hold positions of power all over the world. This is done in order to remove key people and replace them with Vril hosts. Marshall states that Vril hosts can be found everywhere, in all levels of government, business, banking, military, law enforcement, journalism, media, and entertainment. Just how is this body-snatching process accomplished? According to Marshall, Vril lizards have a natural proboscis at the top of their head, from which they eject a type of thick cerebrospinal fluid. When this fluid enters the human, usually through the eye and from there to the brain, a chemical transformation immediately begins to take place. The victim essentially dies, leaving the lizard parasite in complete control of all brain function. After a period of recovery, the Vril host can return to its regular activities, looking, acting, and seeming completely normal. Marshall reports that the Illuminati even hold a special body-snatching ceremony to celebrate this Vril lizard takeover. Guests watch as the victim, conscious though usually bound, is restrained and forced to sit still until the lizard transfer is complete. Marshall claims to have seen this sick body-snatching ceremony many times. Marshall claims that the Illuminati body snatch many people in every country, all over the world. They sometimes choose victims from incarcerated prisoners or long-term patients in hospitals and medical facilities. Anywhere they have easy access to people, they will body snatch and replace them with a Vril host. Anyone can be body snatched, and according to Marshall, he's even seen this done to young children. Furthermore, Marshall claims that all loyal families within the Illuminati are expected to offer one of their children to be replaced by a Vril host. They comply since there is the unspoken threat that should they prove to be difficult, they can be body snatched at any time. Marshall says he has even seen body snatching done with just a couple of guys holding someone down while the victim is screaming, no ceremony required. According to Marshall, the Illuminati utilize this unique parasitic ability of the lizards to further their own dark agenda. They are able to remove those resistant to their goals without anyone even noticing, and with Vril body snatching, the troublesome person is now replaced with an Illuminati spy, infinitely loyal and willing to report back everything they see and hear. It is crucial to understand Vril lizard psychology, since Marshall maintains that all Vril lizards want to be human. They admire human intelligence and the beautiful human form. They want to crawl out from deep underground into the light and walk unnoticed among humanity. However, they are not human and have no capacity to feel human emotions. In fact, as malevolent lizards, they enjoy causing pain and suffering. Marshall reveals that Vril hosts are responsible for much of the senseless crimes and spree killings that occur. However, Vril hosts are excellent mimics and make convincing humans. And since there is no way to detect the presence of a Vril host, except with an MRI scan of the brain, most members of the Illuminati pretend to like the lizards and are friendly to Vril hosts, since no one is ever certain if they are talking to a host or human. According to Marshall, prehistoric Vril lizards have been body-snatching humans throughout history, even during ancient times. He claims that they are, in part, responsible for the destruction of the island of Atlantis, where legend tells lived an advanced civilization that existed in the Atlantic Ocean. Marshall reports that Vril hosts had body-snatched and infiltrated their way into positions of power throughout Atlantean culture, where they destroyed themselves with advanced weaponry, causing cataclysmic flooding and earthquakes. Marshall asserts that Vril lizards often infiltrate human societies by targeting individuals in the ruling class, royalty, or priesthood. Once they are in positions of power, Vril lizards attempt to convince the humans to worship them as either gods or demons, something to be feared and obeyed without question. As gods, Vril lizards would demand human sacrifices as a show of loyalty and devotion. In these cultures, it was considered an honor to be body-snatched and chosen to become a god. The people didn't understand the biological nature of the takeover of the brain and thought it was some kind of mystical or magical transformation. As demons, Vril lizards were deeply feared. Old legends warned travelers against going into certain haunted caves and mountains, and to beware when darkness falls, as this was the time when demons would creep about, stealing babies and livestock. When Vril lizards would body-snatch a victim, the person was later said to be demon-possessed, and various means would be attempted to drive the demons out. Many cultures around the world attempted to limit Vril lizard infestation, and Marshall says most, at some point, start sharpening pointy sticks. For example, the Hopi Indian culture successfully drove off Vril lizards, while the ancient Anasazi Indians of New Mexico were forced to leave behind their elaborate cliff dwellings in order to relocate far away from nearby Vril-infested caves. Throughout history, the lizards stayed hidden underground, in dark caves and tunnels, trying to avoid discovery. Some royal families kept Vril lizards as pets and used them to instill fear in those not showing the proper loyalty to the crown. Some world religious leaders also knew of the lizards, had secret alliances with them, and agreed to help them. In the 1940 US, a secret pact was forged between the Nazis and the lizards, making them mutual allies. Conditions of the pact required directing tremendous resources to assist the Vril lizards, including the building of deep, underground military bases worldwide. This would allow the lizards a way to interact directly with humans, which, in turn, would permit the massive, government-sponsored body snatching so prevalent around the world today. If we can assume that all this is true, that body-snatching malevolent lizards have infiltrated human society and are replacing us, one by one, without raising any alarm, one might ask, wouldn't someone try to tell people and save humanity? According to Marshall, President Ronald Reagan tried to warn the public on numerous occasions from 1985 to 1988. In an important speech to the United Nations General Assembly on September 21, 1987, at the height of the Star Wars space race with Russia, Reagan mused, "In our obsession with the antagonisms of the moment, we often forget how much unites all the members of humanity. Perhaps we need some outside, universal threat to make us recognize this common bond. I occasionally think how quickly our differences would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside of this world. And yet I ask, is not an alien force already among us? What could be more alien to the universal aspirations of our people than war and the threat of war?" Marshall states that the Illuminati forgave Reagan's comments at first, but when he continued to talk about aliens living among us, they blew his mind and called it Alzheimer's. Marshall encourages us to remember the ultimate Vril lizard agenda, which he claims has remained unchanged for centuries, to infiltrate human society and take over the planet. Marshall warns us to act quickly to spread the news, as anyone can be body-snatched. As the ending from The Invasion of the Body Snatchers warns us, they're already here, you're next. ET Phone Home, unlimited talk, text, and no roaming charges. Steven Spielberg's E.T. the Extraterrestrial is a 1982 sci-fi blockbuster about a lonely boy who befriends an extraterrestrial stranded on Earth. The story begins in a California forest, where a group of alien botanists land their spaceship in order to collect plant samples. But when government agents appear on the scene, the aliens flee, leaving one of their own behind. 10-year-old Elliot discovers the alien in the family tool shed and decides to help hide the creature in his bedroom. The E.T. phones home by building a makeshift communication device using toys, appliances, and other household objects to send a call for help to his home planet. However, one could say, no need to phone home when you already are home. According to Illuminati whistleblower Donald Marshall, we are not alone, but secretly share the planet with an ancient race of aliens who have occupied Earth for many millions of years and could hardly be regarded as alien, considering their ancestors have thrived here since prehistoric times. Unknown to the public, this race of intelligent lizard, known as the Vril, have built secret colonies deep underground, in essence, living a parallel existence to humanity, and rarely coming into direct contact with them. Scientists agree that geological evidence around the world support the theory of an extinction event some 66 million years ago that extinguished the life of a wide range of plants and animals on the planet. Many agree that the impact of a massive asteroid caused worldwide devastation. Marshall claims that the Vril survived this event due to the fact that they lived so far below the surface. He says the lizards still remain there today, as they have for centuries, in deep tunnels, caves, and caverns all around the world. Over eons of time, Vril lizards successfully evolved to life deep underground, Marshall explains, since they do not require much oxygen to breathe and are not affected by the intense pressure found at deep subterranean levels. Essentially diggers, they use their claws to create vast networks of tunnels crisscrossing large territories deep underground. The Vril form highly organized colonies that range in size from relatively small to those with masses of lizards collectively working together to support the colony. With millions of years in existence, colonies of Vril lizards can be found all over the world under almost every landmass on Earth. Due to a complete absence of light, the Vril depend on sonar to see and use sound to navigate their underground world. With a language consisting primarily of clicks and whistles, the Vril have secretly lived for centuries, in total darkness, deep underground. There is virtually no possibility for the public to ever encounter a Vril lizard, since the lizards are not allowed to surface and live completely enclosed in deep underground military bases which, officially, do not even exist. Constructed on government-owned land with restricted access, one would need a high security clearance to even come within range of an underground base. According to Marshall, the Vril are evil and malevolent by nature. He says that they think of the planet as belonging to them with humans, as merely surface grazers. Marshall claims to have had numerous encounters with the ancient lizards since childhood. As an unwilling participant in top-secret government black projects, Marshall explains that he was forced to attend secret meetings in cloning centers located in deep underground military bases. Here, members of the Illuminati privately mingle with the Vril and allow the lizards direct access to humans. In these bases, the Vril live a life of privilege, where they are catered to and their every desire indulged. Marshall reports that on many occasions, he has even seen organized hunts arranged for their pleasure, as the Vril are aggressive predators whose favorite prey is fresh human. Marshall tells how, in ancient times, Vril lizards would emerge from underground late at night to hunt. Since they cannot tolerate sunlight, night was an ideal time for packs of Vril to raid nearby communities. Marshall explains that the lizards have been stealing humans and animals from the surface for millions of years. Now that the lizards have moved up in the world and no longer need to hunt for survival, it seems that they sometimes miss the good old days of hunting in the wild, so to accommodate the creatures, governments the world over recreate the same conditions in deep underground military bases. Marshall has witnessed this many times in the arena theater at the cloning center, where the lights will dim to allow for the Vril's sensitive night vision. Some poor, unfortunate soul is released into the pit, scared and confused. Slowly, a pack of Vril lizards advance forward, while the victim drops and curls up, terrified at the sight of the deadly monsters. The lizards then go into attack frenzy as they swarm, bite, and drain the victim dry. According to Marshall, Vril lizards have a toxic saliva that has evolved over the centuries to bring down big game. On a human scale, it's poison overkill. One bite and you drop. Marshall claims that there's even a song written about this by legendary rock band Nirvana. In their 1991 song, Drain You, a victim's deathly high-pitched screech can be heard at 2 minutes and 32 seconds. Marshall claims this sound is commonly heard as Vril toxins speed through the victim's body just before dropping dead. Although Marshall says sometimes it's just a silent scream as the victim's muscles seize up in seconds. No time to even scream. Incidentally, Marshall also explains that the strange squeaks heard in the song at 1:46 are not caused by a rubber duck toy, as reported, but are the recorded sounds from young Vril hatchlings. One might ask, why would any world government agree to this? Marshall maintains that in order to fully understand why, it would be necessary to return to the events surrounding World War II where, throughout the 1930 SS, German Chancellor Adolf Hitler sent teams of Nazi explorers to scour the planet in search of a secret entrance to the fabled Inner Earth where, he believed, lived an ancient race of supermen known as the Vril. In time, the Nazis forged an alliance with Tibetan monks who understood exactly what they were searching for, and deep within their fortress monasteries, introduced them to the prehistoric Vril. According to Marshall, the lizards knew where a treasure trove of Atlantean technology lay forgotten over many centuries. They were willing to disclose the secret location for a price. In exchange for the ancient technology, the Nazis agreed to build underground structures where the lizards could interact with humans, and in addition, they would provide the Vril with fresh supplies of humans to terrorize and consume. While the public will most likely never get the chance to see a Vril lizard, members of the Illuminati the world over have seen the Vril on numerous occasions. Protected by the terms of a secret alliance, the Vril no longer hide in the shadows, but are welcomed to interact with humans in deep underground military bases all over the world. This is where members meet in top-secret cloning centers to plan future events and watch disgusting things done to innocent people. There, the prehistoric lizards' sick fantasies are indulged with unlimited freedoms and special privileges. Marshall reports that the terms of this secret alien pact would extend in time to include the involvement of all members of the Illuminati in nearly every country of the world. Marshall explains that only high-level Illuminati members are allowed to meet them, since once you learn the secret of Vril, you are bound to honor the terms of the pact. There is virtually no way out. Forget about alerting the public. Seems a quick introduction to the fearsome creatures have turned many a potential whistleblower silent. Marshall maintains that fear of the lizards are instinctual to humans, with many needing to be medicated just to tolerate their presence. Donald Marshall believes that the public has a right to know about Vril lizards and speaks out to expose this alien pact that has secretly enslaved humanity for decades.
But they've been doing cloning like this since 1945. First with Mark I clones, then with Mark II clones with less flaws. Now, basically,
and tracing back, how did she get into it? Because what I've found with CIA and a lot of other programs is that...
Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, and I'll see you in our next video.